There's one theme that, summarizes all of that and summarizes what we want to see out of builders. It's simple. The future of all communications and connection on
Yep,
chain.
I love it. Welcome to the ATX DAO podcast, the hub for exploring the forefront of blockchain technology in Austin's Web3 community. We connect you with innovators within ATX DAO and beyond as we venture into the world of decentralized technology. So crack open a beer and join us for a front row seat to learn about the innovations and trends shaping our digital future. This is the ATX DAO podcast. Awesome. Well, welcome everyone to the ATX DAO podcast. Ash and I are very excited to welcome a very special guest today. So we have LeViness with us from PushDAO. And Ian, welcome to the show, man. Glad to have you with us.
Really happy to be here. We've already had some pre-vibes and talked about a lot of connections, so we're off to a great
absolutely
start
are.
for sure.
So unfortunately, all of our greatest content was done off air, but we're going to try and recreate all that for you today.
Bonus for a future.
There we go. We do need
to
set up a Patreon. We can get all the secret Ash outtakes on there.
Well, we can put it all on Friend Tech or on Only Dots. For those of you who know, Only Dots coming out in 2069.
So Ash will have them available exclusively to Dogecoin owners that mint with him. So it'll be great. But Ian, glad to have you on, man. So just wanted to start us off just getting a little bit more info around Push in general. So I know there's a lot of different layers to what Push does. Wanted to have you just kind of take us through kind of what is Push, and we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, so the simplest possible way to understand us right now is at this moment, we're both a dApp and a suite of smart contracts that does a few things. Fundamentally, those things are connecting wallet to wallet for Web3 native communications, hence Push, because these are push notifications, both on-chain and off-chain, depending on the use case. Then on top of that, besides that functionality, we also do customizable notifications as well, of course, for protocols to a bunch of different wallets, such as Lens Protocol, big channel with us right now, doing about 10K messages / notifications per day and counting. Wildly great numbers. And sorry, that's per month, but anyway.
Yeah.
Still great numbers. We have Shapeshift DAO involved. We have CoinDesk involved. 1inch, the list goes on. The partners are up to / integrations are up to about 700 now. So we're both a protocol for putting together on-chain and off-chain Web3 native communications of all kinds, and a dApp through which you can do that. We have both because sometimes you want to do it in the dApp, sometimes you want your own customizable notifications just in your ecosystem, like what Unstoppable Domains, for example, has with us, where now they can just spin up unstoppable push channels for everyone that owns any domain.
No, that's really cool. Yeah, and funny you mentioned Unstoppable. We actually had Unstoppable on recently, so it was cool to kind of get that connection there.
Nice.
Yes, Sandy Carter was on with us not too long ago, which is really great.
Andy's great. It was really wonderful to be able to speak at one of her events in Austin. Love everything that she and the team does, and even I was an honor to provide a quote for one of her articles.
Nice.
She asked
me
back in the day. It was on the importance of further diversifying the space, like what allies can do to help female founders and just women in general succeed more in
that's
Web3.
great. No, she's really big in on that. So we actually talked quite a bit about that when she was on with us. Just like the stats definitely show there's a need for more diversity in the space, more women in Web3. So I know she's doing a lot to get us there, which is really cool. But very cool. So yeah, so kind of back to Push though. So I think I had a chance to use it a little bit with certain things, because I think sometimes if I have stuff in DeFi, it's helpful to kind of get notifications when certain things are happening. So, and y'all have, like you mentioned before, you have both the ability to have like a standalone dApp, or I think you have snaps as well, right?
We do have snaps, so you can snap into our infrastructure, so to speak, through the MetaMask network.
Which is awesome.
I'm sorry, I just had a question. So is the idea around so your core product is built around notifications and I guess automation of notifications? Is that a safe way, or is that a succinct feature set?
Yeah, that's what I would call the day one feature set. It's evolved a lot from there in terms of DAOs using it for governance related notifications, or trading platforms, including DEXs, using it for margin call related things or leverage related things. It's evolved considerably as well into functionality for audio and video, which are in earlier stages, but that's definitely where it started.
That's so cool. Dude, this feels like a gelato, but like less breakable, you know? Like it
It's
actually
definitely
works.
robust.
Yes. I know that also, like, I think that you had like Parify or like Jump back to you guys, right?
Jump and many others for sure, including our wonderful network within Polygon, Sandeep and everyone over there, A Capital, Kane, Warwick, personally, all kinds of great people.
Dude, that's awesome. This is legit, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to like hearing more.
Bankless ventured,
Oh wow.
Bankless Ventures.
Oh wow, yeah, I've met Ben from his Bankless Ventures stuff where he tries to murder you when you're fucking working out with him. The Bankless runs are not runs, boys. They are fucking runs and workouts, and they are always when you're hungover. Somehow or another, they've
Yeah.
managed to find a peak day of you being hungover to hold that workout. But yeah,
In
uh,
case Ben's listening, sorry I haven't made it to a run yet because Ben is a friend of the Push family.
Nice. So I got to hear. So what's the deal with the workouts? Like, they're just extremely hard? They're like what?
Oh man, I will tell you, I did it. I had the unfortunate mistake of getting me and Rashad signed up for it at
Mm.
2049 in Dubai. And it was in a beautiful area. It was like in the Palm Dubai, right? And Ben and had a group of other like 50, like I think there was like 40 to 50 people that were like, yeah, we're going to work out. And I was like, okay, it's going to be maybe like a 2 mile run. Everyone's going to be way too messed up. So a 2 mile run, I mean, I can huff and puff and get through that, man. Like, it's going to be okay. You're going to be sweating bullets. It's going to be scotch and cigars just coming out of your pores, but you're going to make it. It wasn't a 2 mile run. It was like a mile run, and then at the end you do body weight stuff where you do push-ups and then workouts with like
Oh
a
wow.
it's a circuit training thing. So you do push-ups, squats, and then leg lifts and
Uh,
all that stuff, and then you run back to the other side and do this. By the end, I swear to God, like it was like 20 minutes. At the end, there was like a pack of 10 of us that was just at the end. We're like, you know what, fuck this, boys. We're just gonna walk this shit. No, it's not a good day to die today, you know. So it was wild. But the workouts are legit fun and cool. Actually, you do kind of feel good. I remember going to an event after that in the morning, and it was like, bro,
Nice.
I'm switched on. So it was pretty cool. Shout out to Ben. Yeah, if Ben's out there, I unfortunately have signed up for the Bankless thing at 2049 in Singapore. I'm not looking forward to it, Ben. But you know what? For you, you're a mensch. I might just do
So
it
you got to do
anyways.
some training before you do the workout. It's not just to drop in and do a social, 11-minute mile jog. It's like a legit thing.
I'm training right now, man. I'm training biceps. I'm training
That's
biceps
right.
right
Well,
now.
and that's a good shout out.
Keeping us fit, you got to respect it. You got to respect it. Yeah,
Yeah,
we need to keep our mind and body sound as well in this
That
wild
is
space.
absolutely true.
it's mind body connection, bro. It's mind body connection, right?
And by the way, I just checked again because I was in such disbelief at how well Lens is doing with us. That is daily. It is
Dang,
10,000 daily.
that is wild.
Oh wow, that is awesome. Uh, you know what's funny? Actually, I was on a Twitter space earlier today, and I was also I had the chance of meeting Saska, the
Hmm.
CEO of Favor. Right? They're also using like the Lenster kind of protocol itself to like basically, or Lens protocol to create another kind of SocialFi app. I'm also amazed by how SocialFi has taken on this huge like push over this time. Because when it started, it was kind of like we were like, oh, we don't know where it's going to go. Everyone is enthusiastic, but like come back to it like 6, 7 months later, it's a booming. You know, SocialFi is a real thing on crypto, which is wild.
Well, to me, it was inevitable, not just because of where we started and what our core values are, but in the end, what we as humans want most is just quite simply great places and ways to connect, right? With people, groups, ideas that we care about. So, social anything seems inevitable to me. And when you put it all together with the interesting things that crypto can do, not just like tokenization, but all these interesting spins on social fi, on Farcaster frames, and everything related that all these cool builders are doing. Yeah, I couldn't be more bullish. There's a reason why when they asked me to be on that panel and at Consensus this year, I said yes immediately because it was all kinds of cool social founders and me. And I was just like, I'm just a cog in the machine, but I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, no, I think a lot about that too, because I think about like just what crypto has meant to me, or what Web3 or NFT communities, meme coin communities have meant to me. Like it's connections with people. Like it's like I now have friends like all over the world. I have friends in Australia, friends in Canada, friends in Europe. And it's just one of those things where, it creates all these connections. It's only natural for SocialFi to be one of the big things that comes out of it, because that's what a lot of us are craving, is those connections. And
we want better ways to earn from our thoughts, our opinions, our art, our music, all of that stuff. Anything we create online, people have been calling and calling for better ways to earn from that too. So there's a reason that anything financialized within social media on crypto rails works, and in my view will only continue to work better as time goes on, because quite frankly, Web 2 is broken in a lot of ways, and we're here to fix it, right?
So can I ask, like, then, like, okay, so you mentioned the Lenster thing, and they're getting like 10,000 calls a day, which is like fucking insane to think about, right? Like, I mean, it blows my mind, because there's a lot of crypto protocols. Like, I think we all know it. We were talking about like when we all came into crypto and the ages, right? Like of like which era, but like I think we all know protocols where it's like, bro, they have like a TVL of like 100 million, and there's like 10 people that use it, right?
No activity, yeah.
Exactly. And like, it's awesome to see that you guys are getting this volume, which is amazing. So like, how does then this work? Like the Lenster integration, like what does that mean? Like, so it's like, let's say you're building a new SocialFi app, right? You're building the next Warpcast, you're building the next like Favor or the next Lens. Like, how do they integrate with like Push? I'm just curious. And like, how does that model work? Where like, do you guys like have a chain link model, or like, how does that work?
It's pretty simple today, and it'll remain simple because we're for example, very much in the Dan Romero school of onboarding integrations, how he started with individually doing it himself. And I'm very passionate about approaches like that. So basically, when anyone wants to start a push channel, they just have to fill out what amounts to a little set of things that are an application of sorts, pay a very, very small fee. It's like, I can't even remember now, but it's less than $2 or something like that at times. It's a cumulative fee forever. You don't ever pay another fee for starting your channel. Your channel is just up, and there it goes. That's if you want to just do a basic push channel within our DApp. If it's a customizable set of notifications, it's still, again, like the Dan Romero school of integrations, where we meet with you and become, like, for a little bit of time, basically your embedded development team. So the answer is every step of the process, whatever kind of notifications you want, we just sit there with you and make it happen. EVM and non-EVM. I'm saying non-EVM as well because we can talk more about that, but we have an update coming where with Wormhole's help, we're going to be truly omni-chain in terms of what we can do.
Great.
That's so cool, man. I think that you and me are going to talk offline a little bit about some more based omni-chain. Wormhole's nice. I mean, they got the jump chats, right? They're good. They're good guys, and they throw a heck of a party at ETH Denver. That was legendary. But I don't think they're not like electric boogaloo enough.
What we can say is, in a positive sense, because this is just true, another thing that makes Push unique and that you brought up in my mind saying that is we're one of a few that says no to no one. We just integrate like everything from everywhere in a good way, and we have over 700 integrations from all sorts of different chains now at all sorts of different levels.
Oh, dude, that's awesome. Like, we don't want to be the tip of the spear. We want to be the blunt edge of the spear. So we're at the lower end of that tail end of that standard distribution of left curve. So I think we'll definitely be probably the most contrarian integration that you guys will ship. But I think it would be still
we're
like
against
hilarious.
No one. We're against no one, honestly. And we're always integrating more native chains as well, because, right, there's doing customizable notifications from our DApp or our smart contracts to another DApp, and then there's having native chain functionality, and that's a different thing. So we're still adding more, but some of our most recent ones are Arbitrum and Cyber.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Nice.
And Avalanche.
Awesome. Good to know. Good to know.
What about the cock chain? Are you going to integrate the cock chain?
Cocknet's coming soon.
The cocknet?
We're not against anything.
Luke is head of DevRel at cocknet.
I wish.
He's the main cock ambassador, cock resident. He's the head cock in charge of Denver out there. So I think it's like you're
Hey,
destined for
I've
that.
seen everything, man. We were just talking about that before the call, but we can dig into any of that too. From all the way back to the beginning of ICO season, so I've seen it all. I'm like the older soldier sitting there going, "Man, you think this is crazy? Think back,
Right.
think further back."
Yeah, I mean, Luke, I'm sure you have questions about the AVAC stuff and everything that's there.
Yeah, so I
Go
am
ahead,
just
bro.
curious just a little bit more about how that integration works. So you mentioned that, anybody can connect to it, that kind of thing. So one of the newer things that's come up in the Cock ecosystem is a DApp called Cockbook. So it's an online sports betting platform, basically. And so if folks wanted to have notifications of, things that happened in there, what their winnings were, those kinds of things, let's say they wanted to incorporate push, like how would they actually go about doing something like that? Just as an example of one.
That's a great question. So first of all, like I was saying, it depends on uh, where you want to start, because of course your idea for the kind of communications you want supported can evolve over time with both your idea of what the need is there and community feedback on the need there. But the typical starting point is us creating a shared group with everyone involved with the chain or the DApp or the set of DApps, and we settle on a step one for the initial set of notifications that we're going to release together. So an initial set for a chain, or for example, like we talked about, a protocol like Lens might just be general community reminders slash
Mhm.
network updates, or an initial set for a DAO, so to speak, might be just governance reminders like vote on all these different things every time there's a proposal going for a vote. Those are typical initial starting points, and we evolve from there based on feedback from the partner and what they want. We really are that embedded within each of the integrations that we're constantly iterating on
Awesome.
new ideas.
Very cool. Well, one of the things I was curious about, so you mentioned some of the upcoming stuff that y'all are working on with messaging and things like that. Can you talk just a little bit more about kind of what the vision is behind that, how it'll work and that type of thing?
Definitely. So we do have on-chain messaging now in multiple senses. So for example, within our DApp, you can have a channel with over
Mm,
10,000
wow.
users in a group chat for any purpose, both NFT or token gated or non-gated. Or you can just talk to friends directly using the push protocol DApp, wallet to wallet. In any case, whatever channel you start, one of my favorite parts about the DApp is whatever channel you start, you have to opt into it. Until then, all the communications are obscured
Mm,
by encryption, so no one can like sneak in on your channel. There really is encryption across the board. But in terms of the messaging we support right now, it's mostly within the DApp or on a basis of a customizable request from an integration partner over time. And I'm sure we're going to talk more about that. But basically, we're evolving into more of the hub for all on chain communications, meaning all kinds of dApps and things being built on us and our tech directly as well.
awesome.
That's so cool. So I think I was just looking at the site. So you're doing like chat and like video messages, and you're doing like audio messages, right? So like if you're doing just chats, like, so just to be clear, it's all like EVM, right? Like right now, before the wormhole stuff, which takes you Omni.
That's essentially all EVM before the wormhole upgrade, which is cross chain request using the help of the wormhole NTT framework and stuff. Yeah. And relayers, for
So you're
example.
telling
Yeah.
so you're telling me like a user would be like, hey, I have MetaMask wallet. I go to the snap for MetaMask, and there's a push snap there, and then be like a messaging thing, and then from that, I can just find someone's ENS address and be like ping them, and then they kind of have to accept it in that channel to say, hey, like I can now DM this person.
Yeah, it's a good model for grokking it, so to speak. Definitely, it can work like that. A lot of people do it like that, including some of the people, including me in our DAO. We do it like that. We found each other like that in the earliest days. But that is also one of my other favorite parts about what we do. It's a spam protection because you have to opt into every communication. Yeah, it can get tedious at times just opting into every single thing, but also it protects you against a lot of bad
Yeah.
things.
Oh yeah, of course. You don't want like 1,000 people sliding in your DMs, right? Like it's just like, hey, guess what? I'm a Nigerian prince, and I think I have your Coinbase account that I need to get my money out of, like or whatever. I don't know what the new Nigerian prince scam is, but like shit, yeah.
Well, if Lazarus Group is listening, sorry, Lazarus, probably that's the one we'd say no to.
Nice. Yeah, but I think that anti-spam is definitely important, right? Because I think I get like I think their Coinbase wallet has like a messaging type feature in there as well, and I feel like I'm just constantly bombarded in that. So having the ability to keep from getting all of those, I think I have probably 100 messages in there somehow. Somehow folks became aware of that wallet and started spamming the heck out of it. So I think having that's really good. Yeah.
Can I ask?
We're very passionate about that. And to clarify, in terms of Avalanche, just so you know, because of your connections there, there'll be very full functionality at our current estimates by
Awesome.
Q4 this year. But
Wow.
we're already able to do customizable notifications through our middleware set of smart contracts, directly to dApps and stuff like that. But when I say the other thing, when I say more fuller capabilities, I'm talking about full scale native chain compatibility, wider notifications to just big sets of protocol users all
That's
at
awesome.
once, things like that.
So like let's like can I just ask a question about how custom can we get? Let's say me and Luke has finally accepted me and put me out of that spam folder on TG or on push to be like, you know what? Okay, let's see what this retard has to say. Okay. And he basically is like, okay, I'll accept a DM on him. But I want to use push to set a notification that says, bro, every time that cock census or cock goes up on AVAX, for example, it sends him a DM that says, hey, bro, this is the new price notification that occurs, right? I will
Yes,
DM him.
yes, that's already possible. And I'll give you one example why, because one of our most popular channels is the Ethereum gas tracker. So you can already do that with ETH gas prices and just like, here's the gas price now at any time.
Oh, wow. So that's not even a custom. That's just like, hey, this is like a standard. Like, but like, what if I wanted to be like, let's say if the cock price goes down, I send him a sad emoji automatically. Can I do that?
Yeah, we can do that too. We can definitely do that too, because, in my mind, it just comes back to you can send any message within our dApp. So in this question of customization, the only difference there is you're sending it outward from our software, from our smart contracts to the people, to the wallets.
Very cool.
Dude, this is brilliant. Bro, Luke, you better get me off block on your ENS because I'm going to be spamming the shit out
Yes.
of you with this.
Yeah, I'll make sure.
Well, anybody who wants to talk to Push about integrations and such, obviously you can talk to BD and our founding team. But I'm on the core team and I handle all inbound as well. So I'm putting
Nice.
myself out there to any listeners. You can
Very
contact me
cool.
directly too.
No, that's awesome. Now,
Oh
you
yeah.
mentioned a little bit more with the rest of the team. So I think one of the things I wanted to talk about is your structure, right? So y'all are also a DAO. So just as we are as well. So has Push always been a DAO? Is that a more recent development that y'all have converted to that path, or maybe talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, more recent, not this year, couple years running, but we pivoted the DAO to a more effective format this year after I started. And basically, Push is dedicated to the age old thing, well, age old in crypto years, of progressive decentralization. So we still have the foundation handling network development and stuff like that, basically. And then we have the DAO now on the other side, which for the first time in history, which I'm super pumped about, we launched our ecosystem grants program in June, fully under the DAO, fully under community control. So there's that plus a design working group, plus marketing working group, plus a BD working group, all sorts of things happening over there on the DAO. But basically, it equates to right now the community's vehicle for being directly involved in ecosystem development. The foundation does not have direct oversight over the DAO. It is just functioning as a DAO, but we do also both work together as we should to make sure we're both at all times working towards the push vision that we've all agreed on. It's vision driven,
Yeah.
just like any good
No,
DAO.
that's awesome. Yeah, and I think that's the right way to do it, right? So you don't want to just start from a blank page as the DAO. I think starting off with, okay, let's get everyone aligned in the vision when it is under the foundation, but then breaking it off once, okay, everyone that wants to be a part of this DAO is on board with that vision, that mission, and sure, it might be tweaked or evolve a little bit, but I definitely
Yep.
think that's the way to do it.
I'm both as well. That's what made it work, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly. I'm both working on many things for the foundation and working within the DAO, but I was voted
Mm-hmm.
in, to be clear, by the DAO council and the community to be on the DAO council. So I wasn't just appointed there by the foundation or something like that. And that's how it should be, because the way we function now within the DAO, there's basically the council and then the community, and everyone can vote. But there's certain structures in place, for example, that the council always holds the quorum right now of votes. So they're like delegates
Mm-hmm.
directly for the community. And as long as they agree on the vote in question, they can vote with the council wallet and achieve quorum.
Very cool.
Oh wow. Um, I'm sorry. I was just looking through this documentation. I was just curious about this incentives and game theory rule. I'm a big idea. I think all crypto fans are right about incentive alignment being like the holy grail as to like encourage like actions. Uh, like, but I'm curious to dig into this. I would love to hear your thoughts on like incentives and penalties for DAO proposals and the process in relation to that. Like, what was the metagame in thinking about
I'll give you a couple examples. Number one, what I mentioned about the council, we made sure that was voted in by the community and not any sort of unilateral decision, but it also provides a good safeguard in that respect, because also every proposal has to be approved via a temperature check, aka just a poll in the forum, but it matters for a reason, because the council and the community all need to vote on there. And the most important part is all of the council members need to agree with the proposal for it to happen, to go to a vote. So that's one safeguard. Two, you have to delegate your push to be able to vote through just a simple delegating mechanism for each snapshot. But that's a good safeguard, because it means everybody's pretty dedicated who's voting, because they're going in there every time and doing that. You can always stake push. Myself and a lot of people are doing that. And we're developing a whole lot more of token-based incentives for later in the year, because there's so much coming in terms of push development.
That's so cool, dude. I need to dig way more into this. It seems like you have like $1 million for your grant program. That's a good amount, man, to just like encourage devs to come in and then build, right?
So we've given that out already. It's gotten a lot of progress related to integrations and applications. We haven't given all of it out already, but it's something like roughly half of that. And then
Wow.
at the same time, we're under a new grants program.
Dude, that's amazing. I definitely need to dig more into this because this looks pretty cool, man. This is awesome.
And anybody interested in grants, like I said, fully DAOified. It's just 4 to 5 people running everything, all community members plus just me. And we review all grant applications and we accept them and deal with all of that just as the community.
I think Luke should apply. I think he has a pretty nifty idea that we talked about yesterday. I'm pretty sure offline
Yeah.
he's going to ping you about it.
Yeah,
I
for
hope
sure.
he does.
You definitely can and should. There's all kinds of cool things happening right now in our grants program, and not just DApp development, community initiatives, events, even like proposals for being involved with universities. Like we're planning, we have a person in the community who's planning an event with Texas Tech and a few cool partners later in the year to, in a lot of innovative ways, show what crypto can do for everyone, how anyone can get involved, tech on the back end, cool stuff on the front in a macro sense. So I'm pretty excited about proposals like that too. And yeah, to be even more specific, we've doled out basically $1 million over the past, and we're doling out more now, but we're raising quality standards in a good way. So we can get more into that, but that involves honing in on what trends we like above all else and what trends we prioritize above all else, and then narrowing down the types of grants. But that actually helps in terms of grant program management. When everyone knows that most things are standardized, it's good for both parties, at least in my mind.
I like this mullet vector that you guys are doing it. You know, like when you're when you're talking about, you know,
both
like
both in my hair and in the development. Yeah.
no, I like it. I mean, like I got a little mullet vector going on here myself. But like, dude, it's a good strategy for like getting people involved and like thinking about like, hey, can we build these things and put the cool stuff that's there, right? I think it's dope, man. I honestly think that this is pretty interesting. I'm gonna dig into this way more now.
Well, if there's one theme that, summarizes all of that and summarizes what we want to see out of builders, it's simple. The future of all communications and connection on
Yeah,
chain.
I love it.
I think we need to describe that
Like,
onto Dogecoin. That's it. You know.
Well, we can, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. But yeah, this is awesome, man. This is really, really cool. Can I ask you another dumb question? Sorry, I have a series of dumb questions.
No questions are dumb. Go ahead.
I think Luke has been like, bro, I've been on enough podcasts with this fucking guy to be like, trust me, this guy has a lot of dumb questions.
No, they're
Don't
all
worry
great.
about it. I was wondering okay, so the video chat stuff, can I video chat like right now with with a MetaMask push snap, like to you or Luke and be like, yo, this is my little like little blurb for like 10 seconds and then push that to you?
It's alpha stage, so we're more testing it right now, but it will be out that way. That's the plan. Yeah.
Wow.
Dude, that's so fucking cool. Like that's so cool. I feel like I'm kind of like getting my Gen Z Swifties like moment where I'm like, dude, that would be so cool. It's like the way for me to like basically capture something that's like I really think about and just like automate it and send it out to someone. And it's like, it's a specialized emoji of like a real time capture.
Yeah, and there are ways as well. Technically, you could, as you suggested, make something like that into a really interesting NFT capturing a moment. Also, that brings to mind, you mentioned Taylor Swift, and this is actually a real use case. Any creator in any medium in any industry can use Push with an NFT or a token gate right now and speak to thousands of people in a private chat.
That's kind of where my mind was going too. Is just like the ability for the creator of something or somebody that just wants to engage that community to do it as well. So kind of like not an airdrop, but kind of similar where you don't have to track down, okay, did everyone that owns my token provide an email address for me to send this? Like you can just send it to everybody and it's like a special thing. Like let's say Gary V wants to send a special message only to V Friends holders. He can do that and only we're going to get it and we can get it right there in our wallet. He doesn't have to, like he has all this infrastructure to do that stuff with his website and stuff, but he doesn't have to use that anymore. He could just use you, which is really cool.
And it'll only get easier as the year goes on because our plans are, and as we've been doing, we're launching a proof of stake network, getting closer and closer to Push being the chain for communications.
Wow. That's awesome. So that's interesting also. Like, I'm just curious to see what was your process like? Because like you guys have grown so much from your original thesis where it's like, hey, we need to gravitate to progressive decentralization. We need to focus on integrations. We need to take different kinds of media outside of just like static notification kind of actions, like if then kind of statements that result in like pushes that say, hey, let's do messages, let's do audio, video. But this is a great thing where it's like, hey, we need to have our own chain, right? Like at what point, I'm just curious, when in this product stack where you're like, bro, like, I think guys, we need to have our own chain. I'm just curious. Was it
Honestly,
like a bandwidth thing or was
mind,
it like, yo, we just have better control?
Honestly, in my mind, it was just a mutual decision amongst the core team over time that evolved more and more over time up to this year where the plan really started to roll out because it always made sense to us based on both the interest in our tech as demonstrated by how many integrations and how much traction we have and the feedback we're getting in terms of how we are in the greater community. What I mean by that is it just made sense because people see how dedicated we are to public goods, to the sort of EVM ethos in a good way, and all those values, to the core crypto values of privacy and decentralization and endless portability first. It just made perfect sense that we should be the hub, further showing our dedication to everything that, our boy, our girl, our group, Satoshi started back in the day.
That's awesome, man. Like that is like a good kind of ethos and approach to think about things, and it's like not getting caught up in this idea also from a startup perspective to like be like, hey, we're going to iterate and evolve, and like we're going to iterate and evolve and grow into this thing that we really want to grow to, you know. And it's, yeah, that is, I just think that's pretty cool as a fellow founder itself. Like I just think that's pretty cool to see the evolution and see other companies like evolve naturally to this thing. uh like, yeah, I don't know, just
And we think, and we believe in a world where we can all exist together, like I've been talking about. We don't exclude anyone, but at the same time, we also believe and continue to believe we still need a chain that's just incredibly dedicated on a technical level and community level and every level to being the hub for all communications. We have a lot of chains right now, they do a lot of things right, but we do believe we still can stand to be the chain for communications.
It's awesome.
that's awesome.
Very cool. So one thing I wanted to get into, so just a little bit more about your role. So I think that was really cool. Kind of have that dual role with the foundation and also with the DAO side of things. Maybe kind of talk just a little about the dynamics of that. Like how do you kind of split your time between the two, and like just maybe just a more insight into how that all works.
I have no idea. No, I'm just kidding. No, it is really interesting because I started out thinking I was going to be more of like a instigator slash big head of community on the DAO side, and that's about it. But it's evolved more and more over time. We're a fast moving, very startup culture at Push in every way. So that's what I love about Harsh and Risha, the founders. They see that in you when you show potential in other areas. They'll just give you more paths to go down. They'll just say, we'd like you to do this now, we'd like you to do that now. And it's just another way to help you grow. In my case, I instigated the DAO. I then became the head of the grants program. I'm helping to run a lot of the foundation's marketing efforts now. I'm doing a lot of PR and communications for the foundation. The list goes on. A lot of operations in between the DAO and the foundation. That's a common thread. I kind of describe myself at times, and this has been validated by the wonderful co-founders, that I'm kind of an operations guy floating around fixing things and streamlining processes that need to be
That's
streamlined
awesome.
as needed. If that makes
Yeah,
sense, I guess it's triple or more in terms of the facets of my
That's
role.
awesome.
But yeah,
no, I honestly think that like this is kind of funny. This is another weird startup insight too, right? Like where I think it's like traditionally you always look at startups to have a CEO, CTO, and then maybe a third person who's a COO, right? But I really think that third person or that other person that if you can magically find in that finder fit or like early team is the sixth man or the sixth woman, right? Like because like they're the ones who can like play this flex role and like solve the other things because it's like everyone has to wear so many hats, and like I think that you're seeing it like, dude, you can still go 0 to 1 and then 1 to beyond, and you still always need that sixth man or six person role, which seems like what you're
absolutely.
playing, which is like pretty impressive. And it's also like a weird thing that many people don't realize until they actually are like doing this. And you're like, holy shit, bro. Like there's so much other shit that needs to get done. We need a third to like solve that problem. Like it is,
And
that's
on top of
kind of
that, I guess
cool.
I'm some sort of communications manager as well, because as well as the founders, I'm empowered to go out on podcasts and such like we're doing now. But yeah,
Yeah,
I
dude.
love being, that's such a good way of describing it. I love being the flex guy. And I would say the man who wears many hats, but enjoys doing so. And just like, that's what I love
That's
doing.
awesome.
Yeah, it's really strange because we were talking about this today. Just, I'm sorry, just like a strange thing. I just want to share this. Like, we're like everyone defines because like we're looking to hire people as well, right? And we're looking to hire front end devs and like full stack devs. And it's like you look for that T shaped individual, right? Because in startups, you want that they know many things, but they know one thing exceptionally well, right? But it's funny in the sixth man role, you don't want like literally that defined like depth of knowledge in one thing. You want them to do everything kind of good. You don't need to be great at one thing. You just need to be great at comms and then like work everything really well. And like that's such a key role. Like it really is, like it's really strange because like we're also looking to like thinking about like where we want to go, and I'm like, oh shit, like that's like a good thing to have, and it's like a good thing that like I think many people don't realize when they're running these startups. And it's a cool thing that you guys have that, and they have you, so that's awesome.
Well, that's a shout out to the foresight of Risha and Harsh because I figured out over time they were always planning it that way. And yes, it was listed, the position was listed as DAO lead, but they unveiled, so to speak, over time that they always wanted that flex guy, and that was the ideal
Very
person.
cool. Cool.
That's
So
dope, dude.
let's talk about how you became that person. So we usually like to start off with talking about what you do, what the company is, but let's talk about you. Like, how did you get into crypto? How did you kind of develop to a place where you could do all of those different things? Really kind of want to dig into that a little bit.
It's quite the
Yeah.
story, but I'm happy to share it. All the way back in 2016, I was just starting my Master's of Science in Management, living in the Czech Republic, jumping between Prague and a northern city called Liberec. And with my girlfriend at the time, we were just going into the local library to look for English books, whatever they had to read. It was a smallish section, but a good one, always had some interesting things. And I just looked down. Can't even remember what day it was. It was just like some normal day in the spring. But I'm looking down in this about 5-level shelf, that small. And on one of the lower levels, my eyes just fall upon that book, Digital Gold by Nathaniel Popper, that New York Times writer who wrote basically the first really popular book about Bitcoin. And I ate that up in about one day. I told my girlfriend about it. And even though we're not together now, I credit her for that, actually. No ill will at all. She's a great person. She not only convinced me to get into crypto because she said it sounded really interesting, multiple times in the early years when I wanted to quit, she was the one going, "Stop that, you're good at it, keep going," and all that. So it
That's
started
awesome.
that way. Then I read the Bitcoin white paper. Then by early 2017-ish, I was on crypto Twitter, full send into ICO season, having no idea what was happening and seeing all of that craziness. And for surviving that, I credit the early members of the Litecoin fam, Johnny Litecoin, Tech Lords, and a few other guys like that who are still on Twitter technically. They were really friendly and helped me understand the crazy things happening at the time. And from there, from 2017 onward, I started writing all the time, grew it into a pretty successful freelance business. That's where Jeff McCabe came in, one of my first mentors, who's now very successful in comics and all sorts of interesting things in Web3. He gave me a big chance, taught me a lot more about the industry. I wrote a lot with him. That led to a job on the ground floor with Bitpanda, with the awesome marketing manager there, Raphael Schoen, who works at Relay now, I believe, or something similar. He's a great guy, taught me even more about the crypto exchange side of things. We built the Bitpanda Textual Academy for all things crypto, which is a relic now, but a good relic. And we did predate Binance and Gemini in terms of text-based crypto academies. And then just many more stops on the way from there to Norwegian Block Exchange, where Kat from Trezor taught me more things about marketing and PR and let me cut my teeth across branding as well. Shout out to her. Shout out to Stieg, who's still in leadership over there. Great people. First exchange to ever go public in the Nordics. And then more freelance work. And I got a little slide into my LinkedIn DMs one day, and it was Everett Muzzy from Serotonin, ex Consensus. He asked me, "Would you be interested in working for Serotonin?" I said, "What's Serotonin?" And the rest is history. I worked at Amanda Cassett's consultancy for 2 years for like 40 plus companies along different levels. And after that, I ended up at Push. That's the short version. There's a whole lot involved.
I feel like there's like an after hours history of everything that happened during and in between all those
Including
milestones.
like a crypto guy who was trying to start a private island and wanted me to be a strategic advisor, but never listened to me. So I just exited. All kinds of things happened.
It really is funny. Like we talked about, also, this is a funny thing. I feel like crypto seems to attract some eclectic individuals, right? Like it's like in a weird way, everyone who ends up in crypto is kind of like a flex player, right? They really are good at something. They just haven't found out exactly what they're good in this industry. But these eclectic individuals that have tons of talent in like traditional Web 2 kind of worlds, in TradFi, in media, in art, in design, and then they come in here and then they kind of are like, they have to be flex players in the beginning because it's like there's so much to learn and understand. And then you kind of like, oh shit, like this is where I'm supposed to be. And then you become that domain knowledge expertise in that role or in that ecosystem. It is pretty cool. But like, it's funny.
The magic of push, you're more right than you even know. The magic of push is that most of us are flex players on the core team. Zaryab, one of the heads of tech, is like amazing at writing and all kinds of breakdowns related to that, not just the coding. Z, the head of design, does all kinds of art and structuring of strategic programs. The list goes on. Pranshu, the head of ecosystem, is a great public speaker and runs all kinds of community programs. Just tons of flex players over there, including in the DAO as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it gives hope, right? It gives hope. And that's good. I feel like that means that, like, basically we can take, we can take the left curves and the right curves from any industry that is like not crypto, and they can come in here and then find a home. And they can both coexist.
That's why push works. The list just goes on and on. All of the DAO council are flex people. One of them, Renee, is a branding person who also is a great public speaker and great in figuring out social media strategies, just every aspect of marketing. Then you have 60 Keys, who used to work for Index Coop, and he's great at financial analysis, writing, and marketing at the same time. It just goes on and on and on. Even the head of BD at the foundation has like several startups he's built and things like that.
Very cool.
That's so cool. Like, I mean, it really is like, I think that we are really like privileged to be in this space at this time, right? No matter which class you come in, whether it's like 2016, 2019, 2020, 2024, as of listening to this fucking podcast, right? Like, I feel like the funny thing is like, holy shit, like, there's so many people here who came from atypical backgrounds, theoretically, when you look at it from a traditional like industry kind of perspective. And like, you're here and you thrive because you just have to put in the work and then you find your way, right? And all those skill sets will translate once you find it in that role.
And we're global, and this industry is so global, and Push is a great microcosm of that. Our ambassador hubs are Latin America, Africa, and India. We've got all of those areas. The council, I said I'm there, but there's also a council member from Tanzania, then Nigeria, then Mexico, and Colombia.
Wow.
That is, wow, bro. That is a lot. Yeah.
It's just wonderful to work with people like that from all kinds of different backgrounds. And as we said, flex people all at the same time every day. And then the foundation team is in India, Dubai, and all kinds of other places. And I think, next to one of our new contributors, I'm the only one in the United States.
Well, I'm pretty sure people are going to find you. We were talking about this a little bit before we hit recording, but I was just wondering, like, where are you going to be at? So it can be like, hey, guys, if you're going to be there, go find Ian and the Push crew at this conference or this event or this location.
Yeah, so thus far, look for us at Token 2049. Look for us at DevCon. Our podcast strategy as well, like we're doing right now, we're really trying to be everywhere and doing all kinds of outreach with podcasts and things like that. So look for us on all sorts of podcasts. Look for me on the Charlie Shrem podcast soon. Look for me on all kinds of Twitter spaces coming up, which are all publicly available on Push Protocol's X account and PushDAO's X account, as well as mine. And just DM me. I know I'm going to get crazy DMs for this, but Expat Crypto 3 on Telegram.
Awesome.
There's no anti-spam on Telegram anymore, guys. So it's just full-fledged chaos now.
I love it. Yeah. But so speaking of that, so you mentioned your Telegram. So how do folks find you on X or in any other platform, that type of thing?
Same handle. I'm on X every single day, chronically online, like most of us degens. My X account is Expat Crypto 3. I even have a Farcaster. I got the 3-letter Farcaster, which is just EC3. Awesome. And I'm trying to be more active on there. We're starting another content series on Paragraph. We're thinking about starting a podcast. There's some truth to what I said about Push is going to be everywhere.
I love it.
Well, when you open that cast, you better get Luke and me on there because Luke is going to be shipping an integration and applying for the
Awesome.
push.
I got you already. I got you already. You know, I'm going to be running the podcast with my
Oh,
friends
sweet.
from the
Yeah,
DAO, so we
we're
got you.
definitely down.
Dude, friends,
So
bro.
awesome. Well, Ian, this has been awesome. Really appreciate having you on. This has been like, for those that want to learn more about Push, definitely check that out. But Ian, thanks again for being with us.
Dive into push.org/docs as well. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. Our docs are extremely extensive
Awesome.
and helpful.
Very cool. Well, Ian, thanks again. We really appreciate you, man. And we'll be in touch soon. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the ATX DAO podcast. If you like what you heard, please rate, subscribe, and share the podcast with your friends and colleagues. To learn more about ATX DAO, visit us at atxdao.com and follow us on X, Farcaster, and LinkedIn at ATX DAO. Thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you in the next episode.